Carl Boys alongside me for this one. And this is the sort of match Omar Al Shaheen really can prove himself, isn't it, Carl? He had a very good 2021. Now he's looking to build on it this year. Claiming victories over players of the likes of Filler would really be a big step in that direction.
Yeah, and of course he lost his first match. Still early days, of course, but these losses can still soon rack up, so needs to regroup, try and get a W on the board. Yeah, and the wing ball goes in, so looks like the break is becoming a little more easier now. We sort of said that, the balls are racking, more consistent. And probably the referees are getting a little bit better as time goes on.
It's all over on the other table. Just as we start here, David Arcady has finished off a 5-3 win over Max Lechner. And so continues a very good start. As I was saying a few moments ago, he won his opening match 5-0 against Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. Arcady, who was runner-up in the Championship League here, round about this time last year.
Omar attempted a real difficult pot there down the rail. Missed it, nearly fluked it into the top. Now he does have Joshua hooked, but he's going to use that short top rail. Cue ball off there first. He's definitely favourite to pot this ball. It's all about the position for the two. Is he going to try and hold the cue ball and play the two in the far left, or is he going to play the two in the same pocket? Well, he's gone the other way, so changed his mind at the last second.
There's his wife, Pia, very accomplished player herself, and travels with him to nearly every tournament.
Well, that's a mistake. He did go for the pot there.
Hard to believe Joshua Filler, still only 24, feels like he's been around for so long already. That's because he's accomplished so much. He's been winning big tournaments since his teens.
Cue ball's just come around and sat on the red 3, so that makes this shot a lot harder. Didn't attempt the pot for that reason.
Omar Al Shaheen, very much the less experienced player of the two, but significantly older. In fact, he's going to be 30 this year.
That was an attempt at a full table bank shot. And he's not got away with this, so this is Joshua's second attempt at this rack. Already missed a 2-ball. Good thing with this shot is he can just focus on the pot. The cue ball's going to come naturally down the table for where the red 3 is. Just wants this cue ball to slow down a little bit. Yeah, it's got away from the 9, so that's okay. Looks like he's using a new cue, does Joshua? Certainly the butt end of the cue, that is.
Using it to good effect so far. Already won his opening match. And a pretty competent start here to his second. Joshua Filler closes that out very efficiently and leads Omar Al Shaheen 1-0. See what's happening next door. Well, here's actually the order of play on table 2. Alban Ocean and Mieszko Fortunski just starting out their match. And as you can see, David O'Cady winning there just a few minutes ago. Oliver Shilnocki already with a couple of wins on that table. So very good start for him as he looks to establish himself a little further at this level. And Joshua Filler, who we're watching here, already a winner over Naoyuki Oi. And after that Ocean and Fortunski match, it'll be Oi and Francisco Sanchez Ruiz to finish off the opening session on table 2. Remember, 2 sessions a day, so we'll have 12 matches completed by the end of this one, but then another 12 tonight. And we'll start to get a very early picture of who's looking good for a place in the next phase. Omar Al Shaheen there. Made such an impact on the World Championship last year, Carl. Wasn't that far away from winning it. So how good do you feel he can be? Can he be one of the very best players?
Yeah, he's got the game and he's got the work ethic. He travels all over the world, spends a lot of time in America playing in most of their events. Yeah, I don't see why not. He's doing everything right. Just needs that big win, like we all do. And so Joshua breaks, makes the ball. And it was the wing ball. Flew straight in the pocket. Now the pink 4 has come round as a blocker. Can he go off the top rail? He thinks he can, and he has done. So that's not bad there. You can see this blue 2 will pass the brown 7 in this corner. Crucially gets an angle on the 3 ball or after this shot, because the pink 4's all the way up the other side.
Filler didn't register titles in the very biggest events in 2021, but he still won some pretty decent titles during the year. When the Euro Tour returned last summer, he actually won the first event back, the Austrian Open. He also won gold in the 9-ball division of the European Championship for the first time. And he won the US Straight Pool Championship at Virginia Beach in October. But just as I'm talking about all the success he's had in recent times, that happens to him.
Yeah, it's because he was so concerned about leaving a nice angle on the red 3 from that 2 ball. He hooked himself, and that's what's caused the mistake. This is always nice, though, in any match, when you've got ball in hand and all the balls are just sat absolutely perfect. There you can see where the brown 7 is. It's near the 8 ball, so doesn't need to do anything here, really.
Let's just have a look again at that error from Filler. Once the cue ball hit the rail, you could see every chance it was going to find its way into that side pocket. And this is the result of it all. So from looking just a few moments ago like he was very possibly going 2-0 down, Omar Al Shaheen is almost certainly going to draw level. So the first 2 racks, both won against the break, as it were. And that's why it's Filler 1, Al Shaheen 1. Let's have a look at table 2 then. Albin Ocean, the world champion, world number 1. Just starting out against Mieszko Fortunski, who we saw losing to Naoki Oi just a little earlier. He's quickly back into action. Ocean certainly wasn't at his best against Max Lechner, but he did win his opening match by 5 racks to 3. Great year for Ocean in 2021, and considerable bonus for him to then find himself, as a result of that, placed at number 1 in the inaugural world ranking list. He'll be very keen this year to underline that status and show everyone that number 1 is where he belongs. Those rankings will, in all probability, stay in place during the course of the year. There may be some changes if a real outsider comes through and wins a big event, but all the while they'll be accumulating points in the various events to add up to a new list issued towards the end of the year. It's going to be intriguing to see who comes out on top of that. So as Ocean closes in on a 1-0 lead, it's 1-1 here as Omar Al Shaheen gets us underway in the 3rd rack.
Yeah, the wing ball's flying in now at ease. So this is going to give the players more confidence on the break shot. They can focus more on cue ball control. Purposely trying to leave the cue ball anywhere in the centre of the table. Now he's down pretty quick here, so he's spotted Summit. Obviously he can't pot it, so he's going to be playing safe. Is the cross bank on? He was down quick, but he's back up.
I think he had spotted the cross bank and looked to me like that was what he was about to play, but seems to be having second thoughts.
Yeah, maybe he was looking at playing off it real thin as well, trying to duck behind that blue too, but it all looks very awkward. And this is going to force the push out. So what he's trying to do here is push into a position. Well, surely he's going to get this one back. I think he's overhit this. I think he was trying to leave the gap.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, he didn't call it.
Well, he didn't call push out. Okay, what's going on here then? You're supposed to call push out, and that doesn't happen often, but you do see it now and again. He's changed his mind on the shot, and he's not told the referee he was playing a push. So that is why it's a foul. You've got to tell the referee you're playing a push out.
Well, that's a real elementary error when you consider these players travel long distances to come to these events. They put in so much preparation, and then a completely needless mistake like that.
Yeah, I think what's happened is the shot clock's running down. He was going to play the shot. He got down quick, and then he's looking at the shot and instinct has kicked in. He's realised maybe the shot's not quite on. He's got back up and rushed and just played a push.
And what you can say is he'll learn from that, and it'll be many a long day before he makes a mistake like that again.
I'm a little bit gutted and all. I wanted to see what shot he were going to play, because I believe when he played the push, he overhit it. I didn't think he wanted to snooker himself behind the red 3, but we will never know.
So in 2 respects, it seems maybe the shot clock affected his thinking. So 2 balls down off the break for Omar Al Shaheen, but in the end, it's the 3rd rack in a row that's gone against the break, and Joshua Filler leads by 2 racks to 1.
Thank you. Track 4.
Opening day at the 2022 Predator Premier League in Milton Keynes. And we've seen some very eventful matches on this main table already. Not least this one. All sorts of early twists. And it's Joshua Filler leading 2-1 as he starts us off once again.
Cue ball was, well, I can't believe it stayed up. That's all down to the new size pocket and the deeper shelf. It looked like it was going to find its way in that side pocket, but it just stayed up.
Yeah, the players have been cursing how tight the pockets are at times, but that was one instance of a player being quite grateful for it.
Not quite at the races yet. I know before this event, Joshua Filler has spent a few days in a training camp with Mosconi Cup captain Alex Layla. 2 or 3 days he's been over in Holland with him, so they've been working on something. And sometimes when you bring that into an event that you're not familiar with, you're not playing on your instincts, you can start to, you know, play tricks with the old mind.
Well, that's why when you are working on particular things and trying to change things, you've got to commit to it, because it can end up being a long-term process and you might have some frustrating times before you see the benefits of it. Any idea what they've been working on, or have they been keeping that under wraps?
Well, it's been a little bit under wraps, but I think it's more his alignment, because Alex Laley is sight right coach. So I would think they've been going on stepping into the shot and make sure he's in the correct line.
Nobody better you could be working with than Alex. Such a great thinker on the game. Sees things very clearly and very good at figuring it all out and passing that knowledge on to players. So it looks as though the sequence of every rack being won against the break is probably going to continue here.
New breed of players in the world of 9-ball. I've started to use a little extension on the back of the cue. Omar is one of them players.
And he's levelled up once again. Let's have a word now from Omar Al Shaheen.
Well, lately I've been not playing a lot of pool, but I've been like studying a lot, reading a lot of books, changing a lot of things for like the next 3-4 years in the game. It's a big event, a lot of monster on it. I know I'm capable of winning it, but I'm just gonna take it like one ball at a time.
He was steadily building some consistency in his career. Around about 2 years ago, showed some good signs at the Derby City Classic in early 2020, particularly in the Banks division. Actually, he finished 4th in that. But like so many other players, the momentum he was building in his career just got completely halted in its tracks by the COVID shutdown. And he'll be quite relieved, I think, to find that he hasn't lost that form and has been managing to do pretty well since action resumed. Nowhere more so than at the World Championship. Also got to the final of the Las Vegas Open towards the end of last year. Did well in the International Open as well. Got to the quarters of that.
2 racks each.
Yeah, also Omar comes under that bracket of player where he plays all the other little games that you can play on a pool table. The games that, you know, a lot of the fans or people watching at home now might not be familiar with. The game of one pocket, straight pool, very good bank pool player. So, you know, them games, well, they're more like gambling games, to be honest. But you see the odd little tournament, mainly over in the States, but, you know, nothing's, you know, regulated. They're not sanctioned events or anything like that. There's no ranking systems in place. But they're very good games to play that help 9-ball pool. And Omar comes under that bracket. He's a very good one-pocket player, very good at banks. And that is going to help your 9-ball for sure.
Yeah, I guess each of those different variations enables you to work on one particular part of the game, and if you manage to do that in all the different departments, it can all add up to a pretty good all-round package. He's played a decent shot there, and now mapping out his route from here. Chance to take the lead for the first time in this match. Alban Ocean, incidentally, 2-0 up against Mieszko Fortunski on the other table.
Not a lot of players would have played the cue ball like that, but obviously Omar prefers that style of hit. A lot of players would have just played it with a bit of left and gone off the two rails, but he prefers to clearly draw that type of ball. You can just see the extension on the back of his cue there, Michael. It's about 4 inches long. Up next, Jason Shaw. Well, his extension, he plays with an extension. It's about 60 inches. His cue's about 64 inches, his full cue.
So what's the idea behind that?
The theory behind it is you don't need as much cue power, even though Jason possesses a lot of cue power. It just means you can get through the ball a lot easier with not as big a stroke. So certain shots where you need the power just becomes a lot easier. But it's something that you need to practice with and get used to, because it is a little bit weird using a long cue.
So for the second breaking rack in a row, Omar Al Shaheen got 2 balls off the break. This time, though, he was able to see it out from there. And as a result of that, he leads for the first time at 3-2. Let's see what's happening next door. Mieszko Fortunski under it here, 2-0 down against the world champion Alban Ocean. But looks like he's going to get off the mark. And that's what he's looking to do in a wider sense, because he lost his opening match 5-4 to Naoki Oi. Very eventful contest, really. It's amazing how much can happen in 9 racks of pool.
Yeah, real nice player to watch is Mieszko. Left-hander. Some about left-handed cue sports cueists where they're just easy on the eye. Very nice touch.
And he's one of that new breed of players who sense there's a lot of opportunity in the game now, and they really want to make the most of it. So they work very, very hard at their game, very professional in their approach as well, and they adapt their whole lifestyle.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago, Michael, when myself, I think it was definitely Darren Appleton, Daryl Peach, Mark Gray, maybe Imran Majid. We went to Poland for the Europeans.
Joshua Phil at the break. Trading back to racks to 3.
We played Poland in the second or third round, and we won. And we sort of looked at them as, oh, this is a good draw. You know, 1 or 2 good players. As where now, well, it's a different story over there now. They've got 6 or 7 or 8 good players now. Guys who are more than capable of winning major pool tournaments. And I wouldn't have thought it'd be too long before we see a Polish player represent Team Europe at the Mosconi.
It was a great position for whoever ends up leading the team in Mosconi Cups in the coming years. Obviously, they've got all these great players, like the man at the table, but they're being kept on their toes as well by the guys knocking on the door. They want to be on that team. Guys like Fortunski, Sean Nocky, maybe Mark Bijsterbosch, and Fedor Gorst, who has been on the team, missed out this time. And would you even rule out the likes of Niels Fyen from being involved again? So much depth there. That's just exactly what you want in a tournament of that nature. And what Joshua Filler wanted here, having fallen behind for the first time in the match, was to very swiftly draw level. In all probability, that's what's going to happen now. Standard steadily rising as this match goes on. We were level at 1-all, again at 2-all, and now at 3 apiece between Filler and Al Shaheen. Plenty of close finishes already on this opening day of the Predator Premier League. We've got another one in store here. 3-3 between Joshua Filler and Omar Al Shaheen, who's getting us underway in the 7th.
I think it's a fair point to say the table is breaking a lot better now, isn't it? We're seeing very little clusters, the wing balls flying in, so that's going to make for some fast action pool over the coming days.
Yeah, and often it can take a few days for the players to get to that stage. It's happened pretty quickly here. And for the 3rd breaking rack in a row, Shaheen has got 2 balls off the break. And a real chance here to get to the hill first.
That was a nice shot. Them shots are one of the worst shots on a pool table, where it's quite thin. Play it into a blind pocket where you can't see the pocket in your eye line. Often you can overcut them, so that was well judged indeed. Yeah, just drawing this all the way back. Needs this to keep going though. Needs it to keep going. I think he's just okay. I think he can just pot this and play off 3 rails and play the pink 4 down the long rail. Yeah, that's what he's looking at. So he's just okay.
Extension code.
The key rule here is just to make sure you pot your ball, because you know the cue ball's coming around naturally. Yeah, needs an angle. Doesn't want to be straight. And that looks good to me. I think it's worth mentioning the grey cloth. Obviously this was brought in at the Mosconi Cup. Had a little bit of stick online, but I actually personally have the same cloth on my table at home, and when you're playing, every ball looks, you know, so clear when you're playing. I actually think it's the best colour cloth to play on.
Yeah, I think we might see it become the norm, actually, in times to come. And I do agree with you, the balls all stand out so well against it. It's a very banal background, you might say, but I think that's actually a good thing, because it means you can see all the colours very easily.
Yeah, it's where the tournament blue cloth, which was more favoured. I always used to think when you was on the 2-ball, it could be hard work at times. Well, that was well judged. Omar's got the speed of this table down to a T.
And having led 3-2, he leads once again at 4-3. He's first to the hill. And of course, the way he's handling these breaking racks now, it's very significant that if we do end up going hill-hill, he will have the last break of the match.
Yeah, only one hill-hill so far.
Quick look ahead to the next match, Carl, between Jason Shaw and Kelly Fisher. I mean, Kelly did pretty well here in the Championship League last year, but you look at this field, she's really going to be up against it, against these guys, but she won't be afraid of that.
Listen, Kelly Fisher will win matches in this format. She's she's one of the better cueists in the event. You know, she's got a huge snooker background back in the day. Obviously, I'm not going to give her age away, that would be quite mean. But she's going to win matches. There's no two ways about it. She's going to beat some of these players, and I wouldn't be shocked if she qualifies with the top 10. You've heard it here first, Michael.
That'll be a big ask, but we saw how well she did last year in the Championship League. Got to the final of one of the groups, beat some very good players along the way. So that's coming up in a few minutes, but this one still remains to be resolved. Joshua Filler 4-3 down.
But he does have a look at this one ball. He's purposely breaking to try and send that one ball up towards that corner. Although that hit both jaws of the middle, so it was a little bit fortunate. Certain players try and pot the wing ball on the break, and others try and pot the one. It just depends on what you favour. And these balls are sat okay. Often when you're looking at the table, so Omar will be sat in his chair, having a little nosy at where the balls are, and you'll know this is quite a generous split for Joshua. Problems, he'll be looking at where the problems could come. And you could only really think the 7 to the 8 and then the 8 to the 9, really. That's the only chance Omar would have to get back to the table. Now, he didn't come quite far enough out for this, so he's either going to have to try and thread the needle and play the gap in between the side and the 6, or play into the 6. He played into the 6. It's not too bad. One of the best potters, one of the best natural potters on the circuit. Yeah, and that's not bad, that, because you'd prefer to be up top end of the table on this 7 to get on the 8. Needs this cue ball to travel, though. He needs it to travel. It's a little bit shy of pace, but he's just okay. He can just spin this in. Use the second rail on the left side of the table to play the 9 in the bottom right pocket.
He was just looking a little concerned there. Always one to show his emotions of all sorts. And his emotions are going to be pretty good about that rack, because he's leveled once again. We're going to a hill-hill finish. And we're going to have a quick look in before we see this deciding rack on what's happening next door. And Mieszko Fortunski hanging on here against Alban Ocean. He's 3-1 down. And this looks like the key shot of this 5th rack.
The Butcher, as he's known by his friends in Poland, that's his nickname, The Butcher. And he didn't butcher that one, that was a nice shot.
Yeah, I said it was the key shot of the rack. And once he had negotiated that, an air of inevitability about what was going to happen. Lost his opening match, 5-4 to Naoyuki Oi. Up against it here in terms of the opposition as he battles to get that first win. But he's going okay. Just one behind at 3-2. So we were saying, Carl, that it may be significant in the deciding rack that Al Shaheen has the break, because he's been breaking very nicely.
The deciding rack.
Let's see how significant it really does turn out to be here.
Yeah, it's only the second match for both players, but there's a little bit of a story here, because Joshua won his first match And Omar lost his first match, so Omar, even though it's early stages of this event, you want to get that first win on the board, don't you? So this is a bit of a key rack, and weren't the best of breaks. He hit that break a little bit thin, that's why the cue ball stayed down the bottom end of the table. And he can't pot this one. And he won't be playing a jump shot before you get giddy at home. That shot's not on. After every break shot, the player coming to the table can play a push out, which means you can pretty much do what you want. But just bear in mind you might be playing the shot, because the incoming player can always put you back. Can he see an edge? I think if he can see the edge of this one,
Extension code.
looks like he's got a pretty easy safety shot. He's looking at something, isn't he? He's doing something over there. He's just weighing up the push. And this is interesting.
Push out code.
Well, the decision he makes could decide the whole match.
Well, I think Joshua will be playing this. I don't see how Joshua can put him back. I'm not saying this is like dead easy, but just because of how much of the one ball is sticking out and how close the cue ball and the one ball are. Well, now we can see the overhead. The 6 ball's causing a little bit of an issue. He's trying to get the one ball down towards the 4, isn't he? Yeah, it was it's a strange old push from Omar there. The push out, it does tell a bit of a story. And, you know, I did a lot of practice sessions with Darren Appleton, who's, you know, he's definitely up there with one of the best safety players in 9-ball, and certainly the thinkers. And whenever you played Daz and it was tactical or you had the push, you always come to the table with no real obvious shot. So what Omar did there, he just pushed out into, at this level, what was an easy safety shot.
And that paved the way for a brief exchange, which ultimately has given Filler the first real chance in this deciding rack.
Needs to thread the cue ball through the gap. And that's not too bad. Could have been worse. Tried to go through the gap there to get the cue ball a little closer to the 2. He's usually very good in this position though, Joshua. Obviously he's very fast and flamboyant player, but he's very underrated when it becomes hill-hill. He often, you know, runs these sort of racks out a lot. And obviously when you've won what he's won, you would expect that.
Well, it was a hill-hill finish with which he clinched the winning point in the Mosconi Cup just before Christmas at Alexandra Palace against Shane Van Boning. And you're absolutely right. When the big moments come, he tends to step up. That was the second time he had clinched the winning point in the Mosconi. Capitalised so well on that error from Wu Cha-Ching. In a tight finish to the US Open final in Las Vegas almost 3 years ago now.
A little bit of a commentator's curse there, because he's not played the best shot he's ever played. So now he's going to have to come with a big shot. He's got a little bit of angle. He's going to draw all the way back up. Look at the cue power from the killer, Joshua Filler, and the spin as well. That was a tidy shot. That is a lot harder than it looks to generate that much drawback on the cue ball, especially when you've played a poor positional shot. And another one, just struggling a little bit with the table and the speed. Now the cue ball is going to be flying around the table. Certainly be going off 3 rails. There you see he's pointing where he wants the cue ball. Often when a player misses this shot, they usually send it into the long rail. So that's the left side of the pocket as we look. This was well done though. Well done indeed.
Well, who knows? It might only take something like 5 or 6 wins out of the 15 matches to get through being one of those 10 players in the next phase. So to have 2 on the board already by round about lunchtime on the opening day is a pretty healthy position to be in. And that's exactly where Joshua Filler is going to be. It's going to be 2 defeats from 2 for Omar Al Shaheen. But some good signs for him in this match.